So welcome, good afternoon. My name is Mary Ellen McGuire, and I'm the president and founder of the Post-Secondary National Policy Institute, which we refer to as PNPI. For those of you who may not be familiar with our work, PNPI focuses on increasing the knowledge and capacity of the federal higher education policy community. And we do this through briefings and boot camps, virtual courses, and data tools such as the PNPI Explorer. Reliable, accessible data are among the most important tools available to policymakers, especially when they are trying to understand what students, workers, and their constituents are experiencing. Yet accessible higher ed and workforce data in many states still remains limited, and until recently has been almost impossible and at least very, very difficult to find at the congressional district level. And even when data are public, using them usually requires one to be very familiar with some pretty complex databases, statistical software, how to really manipulate a spreadsheet. And what the Explorer does is it removes all these barriers by doing those things for you. It provides national, state, district, and U.S. territory level analysis of publicly available data relevant to higher education and the workforce. And we draw from IPEDS, the College Scorecard, the Census Bureau, and the FSA Data Center. Users can view curated reports or build customized profiles at the national, state, congressional district, or territory level, focused not just on higher ed measures, but workforce measures as well. We built the Explorer to place high-value data directly into users' hands. And today we're going to demonstrate how it works, highlight the new workforce features, and show how these additions expand what you can do with the tool. So now I'm going to turn this over to Jacob Martin, who is our Senior Research Associate, who's going to walk us through the Explorer, and he'll finish up with a brief Q&A and a short survey. Take it away, Jacob.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. I really appreciate that. And welcome everyone to our demonstration of the PNPI Explorer. I'm going to go ahead here and share my screen. While I'm doing that, I do want to remind you, or actually let you know for the first time now, that we do have a Q&A box that is available. It should be at the bottom of your screen. And at any point during this presentation, you have any questions or comments, things that you want to bring up for us to talk about, I invite you to put them in there. As Mary Ellen mentioned, we reserve time at the end of the demonstration to address those questions, and we want to get to all of them. So the PNPI Explorer allows us as users to examine how a given state, congressional district, or U.S. territory intersects with over 90 different higher education variables, and now including workforce metrics. So on your screen, if I shared correctly, hopefully you can see the PNPI Explorer, which is available at pnpi.org/explorer. And when you navigate to the Explorer, you'll see that accessing information takes only 3 steps. In step 1, you're going to choose the geographic area that you'd like to explore. So you'll see that the Explorer has selected the United States by default, but you can change this by either clicking in the box or clicking the drop-down arrow. Either one works. Now you can choose a state, congressional district, or U.S. territory to explore. And with the exception of territories, which are at the bottom of the list, these geographies are going to be listed in alphabetical order. Now, if you're interested in selecting something that falls later in the alphabet, you can save yourself some time by going up here and typing in the geography that you're interested in the download menu. So, for example, let's say you wanted to look at the state of Virginia. All you do is start typing in the name, and you'll see Virginia among, West Virginia and the U.S. Virgin Islands appearing. Now, if you wanted to look at a congressional district, that's okay. You can still type in the name of the state, and the congressional districts will appear. So we'll go ahead and start by looking at Virginia's 3rd congressional district. Now, I'll also note that if you don't know which district you're looking for, but you do know the zip code that you're interested in, you can use this U.S. Census Bureau's My Congressional District Finder, and we've included the link there just to make that easier for you. So that's step 1. Now, step 2 is going to be choosing between curated reports and custom reports. Our curated reports are one-pagers, which feature data on the most used metrics across specific issue areas. And our custom reports let you build your own report, compare metrics over time, or against states, districts, or territories. We're going to start off with curated reports, which is automatically selected for us in step 2. Now, the curated report function allows users to access one of 7 different types of pre-populated reports. We have post-secondary enrollment and access, college cost, completion and attainment, federal student debt, federal loan repayment, the new workforce addition, or we have our top line report, which captures metrics across all of these different areas. So the top line report, which we'll start with, features 8 different metrics that were hand-selected by experts to provide an informative overview of higher education and/or workforce data for a given geography. Now, at the top of each report, you'll notice that we include the full-time equivalent enrollment, as well as the number of institutions in your selected geography. And if you click on the button that says Show Institutions, you'll be met with a drop-down menu listing all of the institutions in your geography, sorted alphabetically by name. Now, we also have columns that list the sector that we've put them in, as well as whether they meet the Department of Education's criteria for being a minority-serving institution. And if you're interested in doing so, say you have a longer list than this one, you can always sort these institutions by any category and in any direction. Now, maybe you're looking for a narrower topic and you want to really focus in on something. Well, our other curated reports dedicated to these other popular topics would be a great place to start. Our enrollment and access report answers the question of who's enrolling and in what types of institutions. So this provides you with enrollment breakdowns by gender, race, age, degree type, and more, and also gives you a glance into the frequency of Pell Grant recipients in your chosen area. At the bottom, you'll see that all of our reports show you the years that the data are coming from. And in general, you'll notice that our reports cover the time span from 2013 to 2023, which encapsulates 2 5-year cohorts worth of data, particularly for our Trend Explorer. We do update this annually to match the most recent data released from the Department of Education, and we always put out some sort of update when that occurs. Our next report type is college cost. So this is useful if you want to understand the cost of higher education in your geographic area. The curated report for college cost shows you tuition and fees figures alongside state appropriations, attendance costs, and aid given to institutions and attendees. This is also a great place for me to make a methodological point, which is that when data are unreported, the Explorer is going to note this for you. And we can see that here in average room, board, and other fees. For 2 of these entries, we have no data, and that is substantially different than a value of 0. And I say that just so you know that at some points in this Explorer, you will see values of 0, and you can treat those as true 0, because we always separate that out from instances where there is no data. Now, I also want you to remember, we can always change what we're looking at, particularly if we want to look at, say, a different area. So let's say we want to look at a state-level analysis instead. Here we can go to Louisiana, right? That's the example I'll give here. And you'll see that we've stayed on the same report type. The only thing that's changed is our geography. We're now looking at the state of Louisiana. So our completion and attainment report provides an overview of completion based on gender, race, degree level, and institution type. Now, another piece that I should point out here is as you're looking through this, you may notice that there are these eye icons or these information icons in the top right corner of many of our metrics. We call these tooltips, and clicking on the tooltip will provide you with more details about the metric, which includes the data source, as well as definitions of uncommon or difficult to define terms. You can always get rid of those again by clicking the X where the I used to be. Our federal student debt report helps you understand who's borrowing in your geographic area of interest, and also which loans are being used and where do outstanding balances exist. Our federal loan repayment report, on the other hand, shows you information about 2-year repayment rates, as well as cohort default rates for a variety of loan types and a variety of institution types. One noticeable difference that I want to point out here is that this report in particular has a different data year. This one is 2019 for the most recent data year. And the reason for that is all of these variables are pulled from the college scorecard, and they represent the most recent data year that's been made available by the college scorecard. So it is possible that they will update this soon, but right now we are still in pre-COVID-19 just for this particular report. Now, our final type of curated report, and our newest, is the workforce report. So the workforce report is going to show you median earnings for your geography overall, as well as disaggregated by educational attainment and by educational attainment and gender. It also shows you how your geography's workforce can be broken down by industrial sector and displays unemployment rates disaggregated by educational attainment. Now, at the bottom of the report, as always, you're going to see this data year that's represented in the report, but there are also these three buttons that I'm sure you've noticed by now that I should explain what they do. The first one says export data. And if you click on this, you'll see up here in the top right that it's going to automatically download a JSON file containing all data necessary to recreate the current report. We also have a share button. This share button gives you several different options. The top one is to share a link to the current page. The PNPI Explorer now supports links that automatically populate to the geography and report type that you've chosen. So sharing the link that's created when you click on this, it's copied to your clipboard automatically. It means that whoever you share it with will see the exact report you shared for the geography and report type. Now, also under this share button, we have the ability to embed PNPI Explorer content on your website or blog. You now have the ability to embed either full reports or single graphs from the reports using the code created by clicking on these buttons. Finally, we have a PDF button. And what this allows you to do is either print an entire report or a single graph very quickly and easily. Now, if I click on this, you'll see the dialog, hopefully. If you can't, I'm sorry. But it just shows you the entire report readily available for you to print out or to send to someone else. And similarly, if you wanted to print an individual graph, you could click on one of these and only print that single graph. Now, as the name suggests, these are by default going to download as PDF files, but you can also change where you send them to. So now that we've covered the curated reports, you might be thinking of other topics that you wish we had talked about. And for many of these other topics, we can turn to the Custom Reports tab of the Explorer. Quickly, before we move on to that, I do want to again remind you, we do have a Q&A box, so make sure if you have any questions at all, that you're throwing those into that box just so we can get to them at the end of the demonstration. But we'll go ahead and continue with this, talking about custom reports. Before we do that, I'm going to switch to the congressional district level yet again. We'll go to Michigan's 5th here. So that's step 1. Step 2, we'll be clicking custom reports, and that shows us the 3 different types of custom reports. We're going to start off with the report builder, which is automatically selected for us as the leftmost option. The report builder allows you to mix and match up to 6 metrics of your choosing at the national, state, territory, or congressional district level. And that includes metrics from our curated reports, but it also includes several metrics that are exclusive to the report builder. Now, once this report builder is displayed, you're able to choose your metrics by clicking the Choose Metrics button. The metrics that you'll find under the dropdown here are grouped into headings which correspond with our curated report names, just to make it easier for you to navigate them. Now, for each metric that you add, you're just going to click that drop-down arrow and select the metric that you're interested in. And because they're new to the PNPI Explorer, I'm going to go ahead and create a report that focuses on our new workforce variables. Now, again, if you know the metric that you're interested in finding, you can always type that, or at least the first few letters of that metric, in at the top to filter the options. So I know that we didn't include median household income in our workforce curated report, but it is possible that that's a metric that you're looking for. So what I can do here is I can type in income, and that narrows this down quite a bit and allows me to select median household income. Once I select that, it automatically shows up on my report, and I have my first metric. For any additional metric that I want to do after that, I'll simply click Add a Metric and follow the same steps. Now for this, I'll just go ahead and scroll down. I know it's the bottom category, and I'll just start adding some of these metrics that we have not included in our curated report, but that may still be of interest to all of you. So we'll go ahead and add these. As I said, we can have up to 6 different metrics, so I'll go ahead and just throw 6 different metrics on here, and we can see that it populates as a regular report. If we were to print this out, it would look like any of our curated reports, but with whatever metrics you've selected. Now I'll show you a few pieces that are worth noting here. The first is that if we want to change the order of this, let's say we want percent of workforce by industry for men and women to be side by side for easier comparison, we can definitely do that. We can go up here and we can drag these around so that they are in a different order. And we do that by selecting this piece on the side for each of them. And now, ta-da, they are side by side as we wanted them to be. So that's one important feature. Another is I noted that we can have anywhere from 1 to 6. So if you want to get rid of some of these, you just click the X's that are off to the right of them. And now we have just our 4 metrics that we wanted to include. And then the final thing that I want to make sure I tell you, because I fear some people might not know this, is that we don't have to use only metrics from the same heading, right? You don't have to do a workforce specific report. You can always choose to mix and match your headings in any way that you want to. And those will still populate the report the same way that you would otherwise. So that covers our report builder. We're going to move on to the comparison tool. The comparison tool allows you to plot a chosen metric and compare your selected geography with others. So we select the comparison tool option in step 3. It keeps our geography the same. That continues throughout the whole process. And similar to the report builder function, you're going to start by choosing the metric that you are interested in exploring. So we'll go ahead and click on choose metric here. And again, you can either scroll down or you can type it in. I'm going to go with median household income, which is going to appear at the bottom here once I type in median. So now that I've found this, it's going to load my data instantaneously. For users who've been using the Explorer for a while, you'll probably notice that our lag time is down to almost nothing. That was a very intentional redesign for us, and I think it's been very helpful just getting information immediately to users. One helpful feature of the comparison tool is that it focuses on comparing apples to apples. So if you've chosen a congressional district as your geographic area, then the comparison tool is going to compare it to other districts in your same state. So the district that you've chosen is going to appear as this gold bar. But you'll also notice we have a green line here, which depicts the national average. We have this blue line, which depicts the state average for the state that we've selected a district from. And then, of course, all of these dark blue lines represent the other congressional districts in the state that we've selected. Now, if we were to choose a state rather than a specific district, the comparison tool would compare that state against all other states in the District of Columbia and graph those along with the national average. So let's give that a try real quick. We'll go back up to step 1, and we'll type in, here we'll do Vermont, right? That'll be our state example. And you know what, just to show that we can always change things, we will go ahead and change our metric to, just to show again, your geography stays the same, your report type stays the same, but now we're looking at average cost of attendance. So in this case, we can see that the District of Columbia has the highest overall average cost of attendance, and that we can see that Vermont is in the top 10, certainly above this green line with the national average. So again, as in all the other report types, we can see the year that is represented here as our most recent data year for this metric. And we also have the full suite of options to download data, share, or download a PDF. Now, our final custom report type is the Trend Explorer. And the Trend Explorer allows you to see how a chosen metric has changed over the course of 10 years in your chosen geography. The geography is going to be carried over yet again, but we'll go ahead and change our metric here, and we're going to go with median earnings. So I'll click on that, and now we can see the data for our selected geography plotted over the 10-year period showing up in gold. So this gold line is going to be representing Vermont, as it says at the bottom. We also have the national average, which is plotted in this dark blue. And for specific values, if you're interested in those, you can always hover over the point on the line, or you can scroll to this bottom and see it in the grid view. Now, if we zoom back into the congressional district level, we'll go ahead, I'll pick on Alabama's first because they show up first alphabetically. We can see one key difference here, which is that in addition to our gold, which represents the district we're looking at, and the dark blue, which represents the national average, we also have a green bar, which shows us the state average for the state that we pulled that district from. We have all of these values, again, plotted down here at the bottom. I will note that you will see more missingness for the year 2020 than for probably any other. The reason for that is because the American Community Survey did not function in the year 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So you'll see that, but we don't impute data for that. We simply leave it be. Now, that's a great segue to talking about the data behind this, right? As Mary Ellen talked about, we have 4 different sources that the PNPI Explorer draws from. That includes IPEDS, the College Scorecard, the Census Bureau's American Community Survey, and the Federal Student Aid Data Center. So I'll go ahead and bring us to our data and methodology page. And here is where you have the opportunity to understand the PNPI Explorer in greater depth. Our methodology report, which you can download by clicking this link, is going to walk you through the creation of the Explorer, and it discusses the decisions that we made along the way. So for example, if you find yourself wondering, well, why don't I see this large online university listed in my state? You'll find that we exclude institutions that are exclusively online or that have 66% or more of their students enrolled exclusively online, because this is a very place-based tool, and those students are difficult to link to that geographic place. If you click this button, you'll download our codebook. And the codebook provides a list of all included variables, their sources, and how they were merged to form the PNPI Explorer. We also have a button for all data and code, which provides you with the data files that form the backend of the PNPI Explorer, as well as all of the stata code that we use to produce that data file. Now, as you're moving through the data, you might have additional questions. Things like, why do percentages in a given display box equate to more or less than 100%? Or why are no values reported for certain metrics in certain districts? And for those questions and many more, I would encourage you to go to our frequently asked questions page. This page is going to provide both general information about the tool and answers to very specific data questions that you may have. So to see an answer to any given question, you'll simply click on the question and the answer will appear below it. Now, we also know that many of the terms used in the Explorer can be complicated to define and to understand. So for that reason, we've put together our own glossary of terms for many of the terms used in the PNPI Explorer. We actually have more than 70 that we've included in this. And similar to the FAQ, you can click on any given term, and it will tell you the definition we use, as well as the source of the definition that we have used. Now, the final page that I'll show you, also under this PNPI Explorer tab up here at the top of our website, is our tutorials page. Here you're going to find short videos that I've recorded walking you through using all portions of the Explorer. We have one for curated reports and another for custom reports, just to shorten them up a little bit. But you'll also find a link to a recorded webinar, which right now is a webinar from 2023, but soon will be a recording of this webinar. So if there's something that you've forgotten from today that we've walked through and you want to refresh your memory of that, you can certainly use these videos to do so. Or if you know someone who couldn't attend, but who could benefit from using the PNPI Explorer, feel free to send them to this page so that they can get up to speed on how to use it.